All right, high rollers, it's been a while. Good to be back in the saddle and great to have this guy back, the Rocky of darts, who we like to touch base with every so often for a state of the darting union, if you will. My main man, Oche Balboa, throws punches in bunches, folks. At It's Oche again on Twitter. And yes, it is Oche again right now. Chris, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being our high roller today.
It's so great to be back, and thanks for having me on again.
A true pleasure, my man, a true pleasure. Now, a lot has happened since we last spoke, much to discuss. Let's jump right in with Luke Humphries, the newly crowned world champion, world number one as well. Had a few close calls throughout the course of his Ali Pali campaign, but in the end, held his nerve, survived, took it down. Well-deserved, I gotta say, because he had a great year in 2023.
He did. I mean, he won 3 out of the last 4 majors before the Worlds. And in the Worlds, he looked a bit ropey early on. He got away with it a little bit against Lee Evans in the first round. Then the second round, he was playing Patricio, and he should have lost. And then he had that great match against Joe Cullen, which is probably one of the best matches I've ever watched. I watched it in a pub in somewhere in Birmingham, and it was just an excellent game.
Let me stop you right there and ask you about watching darts in a pub in England. You know, here in Canada, during the NHL playoffs, hockey, people are out at the pub, they're drinking, they're screaming, they're living and breathing with every shot, cheering on their team. Is it the same way with darts in England, in the pub?
No, not quite on that occasion, because there was me and a couple of my mates who were not really darts fans. They were watching it as well. But about 10 yards away, there were people dancing to some music, so it's a bit of a bizarre scene. So yeah, it's not quite the same. I mean, people will watch it if it's on in the pub and stuff like that. So it's not quite the same. I mean, my mates were asking me questions about darts and everything. They're a bit out of touch with it. So it was one of those games which was really, really good, and it captured quite a lot of people because a lot of people were like noticing it and everything like that. So it was very good to have on in the pub, and it was weird on a Saturday night.
That was a great match, though.
It was excellent match. I think it was one of the best matches in the World Championship probably ever, because you didn't know who was going to win. Cullen missed the match dart. Humphries missed a few match darts. Both players, you probably thought they should have won it. It was a great match. You talk about these high average games and everything like that, where you know who's the winner's going to be, and they say, oh, it's a great game, it's a fantastic game, and everything like that. That had everything. That ticked almost every box for a great game. And it was probably the best game of the in any World Championships for quite a number of years, to be fair.
Yeah, it was a classic. And, of course, Humphries goes on to win the title. He beat Littler in the final. We'll talk about him in a second. But the World Championship, the title, it's a milestone achievement for any dart player. Top of the top. It's a special club, too.
It is. I mean, it's the one you want to win. It's the one you inspire. £500,000. You think, fantastic. It's not the money, it's the status that goes with it. I mean, Luke Humphries won the world title. He was playing second fiddle in the international press to Luke Littler, which was a bit of a shame for him, but he probably wouldn't have cared really. But he used it to go and see Rishi Sunak. He used it to go and speak to him about mental health issues and things like that. So he will represent the PDC as a world champion really, really well. And I think every world champion does it in their own way. But it's the one to win. And fair play to Luke. He was fantastic.
So you think he's going to have a good reign? Because I was wondering, in terms of marketing appeal, he's pretty straight-laced, seems to say all the right things. But I got to say, there are other players I'd rather watch toe the Oche. I just don't find him all that exciting. Dare I say robotic? And it's a testament to his brilliance, really.
Yeah, he's more methodical than us, but he gets the job done, and he looks really cool under pressure. Cool hand, if you want to give that 6. But yeah, he's not excited. I mean, I don't think he's there to excite people. He's there to get the job done and win titles. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying. But he's he's the best player in the world at the moment, and he's showing it.
Now, in terms of marketing appeal at the other end of the spectrum, you've got this kid, Luke the Nuke Littler, just 16 years old when he played that final, now 17, but he is skyrocketing to stardom, and the PDC is taking full advantage. The hype machine is real. They're playing it up. Perhaps some relief for Fallon Sherrick.
Yeah, it's I thought when he got into Providence, I thought about two players which might benefit. One was Leighton Bennett, who was won a tour card 2 weeks after, and one was Fallon Sherrick, who just get on with what she's doing right now. But anyway, about Luke Littler, it's been fantastic for the sport. I mean, the international acclaim has been mad. It's a great story. A 16-year-old lad comes over, gets to the final, and really was one dart away from winning it, because if he would have got that double two,
yeah.
Yeah, double two. He would have been 5-2 up, and that would have been the end of the game. So he's been great for the sport. I mean, a lot of people at my workplace never talk about darts. We're talking about him. Again, my mates at the pub were talking about him. And you get this thing, he doesn't look 16, does he? And you get that sort of thing. But yeah, it's been fantastic for the sport. It's been mad for the last January's been mad, really. He's a great player. He's good under pressure. He's very cool. He's going to learn a lot during the Premier League in the next 16, 17 weeks. But I think he'll do well. But they've got to look after him, and everybody's got to look after him because he's 17.
You mentioned the Premier League. We'll talk about that in just a second. But you also mentioned Leighton Bennett. And I was going to ask you, what parallels do you see between Littler now and Bennett a few years ago when Boom Boom was all the rage, the talk of the town? Congrats to Bennett, by the way, secured a tour card. You see any similarities between the two?
Well, Littler's like 3 or 4 times bigger than Bennett, but everybody was talking about Bennett was like 13, and I felt it was really too much for the lad. And he was playing against Taylor on a stream, and everybody started watching it, and everybody was saying, oh, he's going to win the BDO World title in 2020, and he got knocked out the first round. There was a lot too soon about Leighton Bennett, but he was always a very good player. And he's always had to go and find his feet, and he's done it. And he had a great week at Q School. Deserved his card because he posted some great averages, got some great wins, and actually deserved everything that's come his way. So it's really interesting to see what he does in the next 2 years. And now this Luke Littler effect is there. He can go on the blind side now and he can do what he wants, and and say, I'm still a good player, guys. I'm still somebody that could achieve massive things in this sport, and he can. So it'd be good for him to just go on his own game now, rather than everybody looking at him and saying he's the next best thing, because, he's dealt with it better. He could have just gone and said, oh no, and sulked a bit because Luke Littler's got in everything like that, but he's just got the job done. Great, good bloke.
Now, when you talk about Littler, some people are suggesting that he may go on and dominate like Phil Taylor did. And I thought Humphreys had some wise words after the final in the post-match interview when he said, I got to thinking up there, I better win this one now because this youngster's going to win the rest of them. I mean, what is your take about the future of Luke Littler?
It all depends on what happens. I mean, at the moment, he's like in a dream world because, he's got 3 straight finals, really, hasn't he? So it's a bit of a dream world. What will happen, and it will happen because he's 17, when he levels off a little bit and he loses a bit of form and people beat him comfortably on the Pro Tour or wherever, what happens then? Will he have the ability to come back? Evidence suggests he will, but I'm interested to see what happens if he does have a slump. I think he will have a slump. I'm not predicting or wanting him to have a slump. God, no. But it's how he responds from it, and I think he will respond from it. But if he wins a world title in the next 2 or 3 years, he could win 5 or 6. Don't forget, everybody said that MVG will win 6 or 7 when he won his first, and he's only won 3 so far. It's very tough. There's still very, very good players out there, and there's still players that will really improve as they get older. So let's see what happens.
Now, we are taping this interview on day 1 of the Premier League, Littler in the Premier League, and you've got Humphreys. It really is an interesting dynamic because you've got Humphreys out there saying they won't let anyone take advantage of this youngster, that the PDC veterans will look after him. And then you've got Peter Wright saying, hey, I'm not a babysitter. And I've always looked at it like it's all fair in love and war. There are no friends at the Oche. He might be young, but he's too good to be coddled. I mean, they're playing for big money after all.
He's too good not to be cuddled. I agree with that. But at the same time, he's 17, you know, and it comes with drawbacks and everything like that with his well-being and everything and all that. So there's that side of it. Of course, what Luke said is right, and what Peter Wright said is right. If you get what I mean, one of them saying, "Oh, let's just look after him," he's right. Peter Wright just said he's got to learn the hard way. He's right as well. So it's just got to be a bit of a balance and, you know, in the middle sort of thing with Luke Littler, and I think that will be achieved. So let's see what happens.
MVG was asked recently where this ranked in terms of importance, the Premier League, and he said second. Now, I disagree with this. There's big money involved. Yes, that's true. But it's more like an exhibition from where I'm sitting. Finals night is great, but that's where the KO is on the line, the big money. Just not my kind of tournament.
It's not. I totally agree with you there. I don't think it's second. I just think it's an exhibition. It's a glorified exhibition. You've got 16, 17 knockout tournaments in different venues. That's what it is. The format I'm not a fan of. I mean, I preferred it as like 10 players and everybody plays each other twice and, you know, top four go through. MVG is probably from a player's angle that it's second to him because you're playing against the best in the world every single week. So from a player's angle, but from an actual prestige angle, I'm not sure. Second best is in the PDC is the World Match Play. Then it's the World Grand Prix. Then you can have a debate what's fourth, in my opinion.
For me, it's anything with everyone involved, knockout style, winner take all, that kind of thing. To me, this just seems like an extended round robin, even though it's knockout on a weekly basis.
Yes, I agree. As I say, Premier League is just round robin every week. 8 players. I mean, a lot of players have got no chance of being in the Premier League because of marketing values and how they play the game and stuff like that. So it's not really an open, fair field to begin with. So no. I agree what you're saying.
I want to talk about Scott Williams for a second. Had a great Worlds. Yeah. He reached the semis. Now, there's a guy who's got some cock in the walk, a swagger up there on stage. Confidence can take you a long, long way. What do you make of his game, and how does this set up his future, or does it?
It does set up his future a little bit because he will get confidence from this and all of that because nobody expected him to reach the semi-finals. Nobody expected him to beat Van Gerwen. Nobody expected him to get past a couple of the players that he got past because he had an inadequate year on the Pro Tour compared to his first year. It was very mixed. But he's got some swagger about him, and fair play to him because he's trying to create a different dynamic for himself where he will just don't care who he plays and just act under swagger, you know, the sort of blind 180s and you know, and everybody liking him and everything like that. I'm interested to see what he does. Would he make a Premier League? I'm not sure, but would he play well in 2024? I think he will because he'll carry the momentum from the Worlds.
Well, just for the record, that is a guy that High Roller Radio likes to watch. I love the confidence guys. Yeah, they're exciting. Now, before we talk about the WDF Worlds, any thoughts or parting shots on Michael Smith and his reign as world champ?
Yeah. Again, I think, as I said to you last year, I thought he will be amongst the honours for 2023, and he didn't. And it's just like, it was just like perhaps being world champion was an albatross around his back. And so he struggled to form a little bit. And in the Worlds, he didn't look like he was going to retain it at all. And there's no surprise he got beat by Chris Dobey. Will he have a good 2024? Well, his opening to World Series suggests that he's still struggling to form. I'm interested to see what he does because he's so naturally talented. It's unbelievable. He's the most naturally talented darts player there is, in my opinion. The way he just goes about it is just unbelievable. When he gets into momentum and form and everything like that, it's very, very hard to beat. I'm interested to see what Smith does, but he's in a rut at the moment, and he's got the ability to get out of it, and I'm sure he will.
Sticking with the PDC for a second, your thoughts on rule changes that have been made to both the Pro and Euro Tours. First, the Euro Tour. PDC's decision to invite both the top 16 of the world rankings and the top 16 of the Pro Tour Order of Merit, that's ruffled a few feathers. I mean, Vincent van der Voort is certainly not a happy camper. He's never shied away from sharing his opinions. Let me read you this quote from dartsnews.com. "This is very bad for the up-and-coming players," he said. "It is a really, really bad decision. Makes it difficult for players to come through. The European Tour used to be a learning school to play TV tournaments, and this is a very bad decision. You can see it's a decision made by people who've never played darts. It's by businessmen. That's what goes wrong most of the time." Vincent van der Voort. Then you've got Mickey Mansell, who's got some harsh words of his own, calling it a kick in the stomach for 2/3 of the 128. They've changed up the rules and not everyone is happy.
I'm 100% on their side on this. I think it's an absolute disaster because I think they've done it so they can get more bums on seats during day one, because a lot of the day one of the Euro tours, there's nobody there. And I think they've done it for that. But at the same time, it doesn't help. It creates a gap. A lot of players will struggle to get into the top 32. Euro Tour brings better stories where people get momentum. They get onto the Euro Tour, have a good Euro Tour, get into the European Championships, have a good European Championships, then get into the Worlds. Now you've reduced all the tour cards to 10, so very limited number will get in. You've got the associate members. You used to have 2 spots, now they've got no spots. Again, what they're trying to achieve, are the PDC trying to achieve a more elite tour for everybody, and this is their way of going about it. They have to be honest, open and honest about it. But it's really disgusting, these changes, in my opinion, and I've read a lot about it, and I've seen people on Twitter say about it, and I can't disagree. It's always really bad when you take a step back. And that's what they're doing. They're taking a step back because the Euro Tour wasn't really broke. It didn't really need fixing. It allowed a lot of people to try and play in the event. And quite frankly, as I said, it's disgusting.
To Vincent's point, it was a learning ground. And to your point, it was great to see some of these stories come through. Some of these guys, they're up there on stage for the first time. It's their world championship. And some of them, they make headlines. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you have players who are, say between 96 and 128 in the world in the PDC. They get through two games, get into the Euro Tour. The Euro Tour, they win their opening game, then they beat somebody else. So within the last 16, they've earned more money than they have in the Players' Championships. And so they've got more exposure of playing in front of a biggish crowd on a stage and on a stream as well. So they're gaining experience. It's all about experience for a lot of these guys. So it's just rubbish. And people like Peter Wright and so forth will sit on their arse, do nothing for 12 months and play in all these events, qualify for the European Championship, probably get knocked out the first round, and you don't really learn anything at all. You don't see who the rising players are or anything like that. So yeah, it's wrong.
Now, meantime, on the Pro Tour, the floor events are moving midweek. Now, this has also upset a lot of the lower-ranked players, namely the guys with jobs, the guys and gals with jobs. Makes it very difficult for them to play all of these players' championships. Big disadvantage for them.
It is, because it's easy for the elite because, well, the elite are not working. Darts is their job, so it'll be easier for them, and they can get their weekends off, so they can go on an exhibition for 10 grand. Fair play to them. But for the lower players who work a lot of hours to try and fund the tour, it's a kick in the teeth because you got to go on every Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I've got to have this time off. And some bosses, and this is life, will just say, I can't give you the time off because we've got all this. So therefore, a lot of these players who are struggling who are trying to strive to get into the World Championship, strive to get, up the rankings, will have to sit out events because they have to work. And this just smacks of the PDC not saying it, but saying it. We want to be an elite tour. Do they want to keep 128 cards or do they want to cut to 64? They have to be a bit open and honest about it, what their future intentions are, so everybody knows what's going on. There's going to be a lot of Players' Championship events where there's going to be about 10, 12, 14, 16 tour card holders who can't physically make it because of different issues. So it's going to be decent for the guys who are on the Challenge Tour because they can come in once or twice and, say, yeah, I can have the Wednesday, Thursday off playing this and blah, 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 blah. Well, for them, it's harder. It's just a weird decision. And they're better off having, blocks of weeks where there's, 4 events, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Just space the calendar a little bit, but have it in a block so everybody's there and everybody can play and so forth. So it's just a weird decision. But again, if it's elite, if they want an elite tour, just say we want an elite tour. We're going to do it this way.
Yeah, and maybe they got to offer more prize money. A big business nowadays.
Well, yeah. Again, snooker in their qualifying tournaments for the TV events, they give everybody who doesn't qualify for the first round, I think $2,000. So that's like a living wage for them. They can have $2,000, so it's good for them. It doesn't go on the order of merit and everything. PDC probably should look at that and say, okay, we'll give you £500, £600, £750, or whatever to cover for your expenses and the loss of jobs. Well, loss of job revenue isn't true because you get holiday pay and everything like that. But just to say, okay, you can come on this and this is how much you get. You're not going to lose any money if you do. And there's no sign of that. It's weird.
The World Darts Federation held its World Championship at the legendary Lakeside. Andy Barton seemed like the best player throughout. Sure enough, prevailed. The Lakeside World Champ crushed Chris Landman in the final 6-1. Of course, Bo Greaves wins it again on the women's side, 4-1 over Eileen de Graaf. I know you watched it all. You're a big supporter. What stood out for you in that tournament?
The standard was ropey in the early doors, but you didn't expect it to be colossal standard because of what it is. There was a lot of plus points, but a lot of minus points as well. A lot of plus points was a lot of players around the world were involved in this. A lot of players around the world were involved in the last 8. So you had players from Sweden, Belgium, USA, Netherlands, all involved in last 8, and no Englishman, which for an Englishman like me isn't a great point, but for everybody else, it's like, this is great because there's more to life than English players hogging the tours and stuff like that. But, I mean, the streaming was okay. It was decent. It can be improved upon, but they should have got rid of the comments. The comments were there's just like thousands of comments just talking detrimental about the WDF and just talking shite and giving all these absolute abuse to people and everything like that. And it's not right. It's just not right. They should have just said, this isn't working on day one, we're disabling it. People would have still watched it because people are watching for the darts. There was only about 100 people doing the chat anyway, and everybody else was just watching anyway. So, and also, if they're going to go down to the YouTube route, they need to be a bit more savvy with the adverts because half the time the adverts used to come on when the guy's on the winning double. Just like, yeah. This isn't good. But as the tournament itself, Andy Beaton's was excellent. He was very solid all the way through, averaging 93, 94, which people might just say, oh, it's not top-notch like that. But he looked like he could have an extra gear, but he didn't need it. As for the other players, Danny Lauby played well when he got onto the Pro Tour. You had 7 out of the 10 WDF players who got onto the Pro Tour from the rankings, which to the WDF is like saying, we have still got players who can make it in the PDC and beyond. So that was a good point. And you had Bo Greaves in the women who was just absolutely superb from Dart 1. She never looked like losing it. Everybody said she's the stone blind certainty, and she won comfortably. I mean, the way she ripped apart Rhiannon O'Sullivan in the semi-final was excellent because I thought that would be a really close nitty-gritty game, and it wasn't because she just absolutely destroyed her. She's just a superb player, and she deserves all the accolades.
She really is, and I enjoy watching her.
Yeah.
Seems to have a great attitude up there on stage.
Yeah, she's superb. I mean, she made the right decision, in my opinion, not to go to Ali Pali, but to do it at Lakeside because $25,000 at Lakeside for winning a tournament where you're going to beat 99% of the heat. It just does wonders for your career, and she's now a multiple world champion. It was the right decision, and I don't think she regrets it one bit. Yeah, it was a good tournament. It can be better, and I think 48 players is too much for the men's game. It should be 32, in my opinion, and 16 for the women from 24. I know people like to say a lot of players need to get exposure and everything. That's fine. But at the same time, they need to get exposure and say, we're going to have 80 averages, because people are averaging like 73, 74, and they wasted their moments to do something at the lakeside stage. So, yeah, everything needs to be looked at. But the tournament was a success, and I'm glad it's on, and they've got dates out for next year. So that's all good, and everything's more positive towards that way.
Well, you know me, I watched it all. I really enjoyed watching it. The more darts, the better as far as I'm concerned, especially when there's pressure. When there's pressure, that's what I love. Okay, let's switch gears now. You are out there on the mean streets of darts Twitter on the daily, it seems. You've been banned a few times, hence the name It's Oche Again, your Twitter handle. Not everyone likes you, sir. I've always been a fan, but others have a beef, Justin Credible included, an infamous darts blogger. He won't be sending you any birthday presents anytime soon. What is the story there with Justin Credible?
Me and Justin go back quite a long time on darts forums, and he's a provocateur, and I've become a provocateur. I'm honest about that. And it's just like we just clash in styles, really. I actually don't dislike him. I don't know what he thinks about me. I don't really care. But I actually don't dislike him. I just think he's a bit of a sad idiot. So, and I just think some of these trolling things are just so telegraphed. It's just like, oh, God, mate, come on. He used to be really good at getting viewpoints across, and everybody just like talking about it. But his blog now is, I still read his blog. I put it on there. I read his blog. I read his blog every week, and I just go, mate, you're not really trying anymore. It's just really tired, and he probably needs to be retired, mate, because you're not as good as you was. He's washed up. So that's it. And I think he knows that, but he's still trying to carry on. So, he is what he is. I don't dislike him, but I think he's a sad idiot.
I read his blog as well, entertainment value, a lot of colorful language in there. Don't always agree with him, but some of it is quite entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, there are some points that I do agree with, and there are some points, but it's the way he goes about it. That I just go, no, mate, sorry. It's the way he goes about it, I mean, abusing darts players is a bit, you can't do it, man. You can't do it. I just don't agree with it. I mean, people have accused me of abusing darts players, but I don't. It's just you can't do it. You just got to argue your point and then see what happens.
We've invited him on, by the way. Thought maybe I could mend some fences between you two, but it doesn't seem likely at this point.
Well, I would go on with him. Not a problem. I don't have no axe to grind. I mean, and everything like that. But it's totally up to him. The ball's in his court. If he does, I'm sure we could have a good chat and everybody will just have a laugh and just carry on. But, it's the ball's in his court.
I was watching Modus a while back, and commentator Chris Mason took a shot at you on air, joking about Oche levels of IQ. What happened there?
Well, it's weird because I wasn't watching Modus at the time because I was working. And then I got a message from somebody, I can't remember who it was. That's it. Guy who was on TDF called Maltese Dart. I got a message from him. He goes, "Oh, Chris Mason's been, then he showed me the video clip, and I thought, where's this come from?" I just listened to the clip, and he went, "Yeah, low IQ Oche," and I just thought, yeah, people will agree with that. It's not really having a go. I mean, I get called dense all the time. It's just, but I just thought it's so bizarre. It's just so bizarre. I mean, let's put it this way. Chris Mason is one of the best commentators around.
I agree.
Yeah, one of the best commentators around. I mean, I've met him several times. He doesn't have to go out of his way to actually have a pop at somebody that's on Twitter. I mean, he's got a better standing than that. I just found it really bizarre. But again, I wasn't going to go, oh, God, he's had a go at me. I'm going to delete everything. I'm just going to say, I'll just laugh at it back and go, this is really funny. I loved it. And I loved it.
It's like a badge of honor.
It is. It is a badge of honor. It's just really weird. And when I told a couple of family members. They just laughed and said, "Yeah, you have got low IQ." And I said, "Yeah." And
Yeah.
I'm just like, "Yeah."
Oh, that's
You
great.
know, it's just bizarre.
Having said all that, it should be noted that you, along with others, the darts referee as well, got some recognition during the recent ADO championships in Las Vegas. Commentators giving you props. That was a great event. I'm so glad it was streamed by USA Darts.
Oh, Vegas event was great. It was one of the best surprises in the darting thing of the year so far, because the commentary, the way it was set up, and the way they talked enthusiastically about it, and it was just a bit. They just made it a bit of fun. It was just great, and USA Darts is great at the moment over there, and they got a good commentary team as well, and everything like that. So I really enjoyed it, and I'm quite glad they actually gave me some good props. It was just, I thank them for that, but I really enjoyed the stream.
Yeah, as did I. I enjoyed this as well, my man. There he is, folks. Oche Balboa. He gives it as good as he gets it. Not afraid to mix it up on social media with anyone, really. At It's Oche again on Twitter if you want to give him a follow. I do. Chris, appreciate your time, man. Thanks for being our high roller today.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me on. It's all good. Thank you.